Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Jess and welcome back to Planted Hippie. So for today's video, I thought it would be super cool to go ahead and share with you all of the plants that I have purchased so far in 2022. So if that does interest you, I please ask that you stick around, leave a like, maybe even a comment down below sharing what plants you have collected so far in 2022, and even subscribing so that you are notified every time I upload a new video and to help me keep on planting. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alrighty, so the very first plant on our list that I purchased in January of this year is the ball cactus, and I will have its real name up on screen, but it is a very unique cactus. As you will see, I will obviously be including footage, but it is just such a unique cactus. It grows its little foliage, I guess you can call it, by ball. It grows its foliage very uniquely in these very cool looking ball-like shapes, and I purchased this back in January on Etsy before I kind of gave myself the no buying online rule, and I purchased this plant on Etsy, and I did so in another plant before I kind of gave myself the rule of wanting to purchase the remainder of my plants from my wish list either in person or by trades or something like that. So I did kind of break my rule in the beginning of the year, but not without regret, because I don't know if I would have been able to find this cactus had I not ordered it online. So yeah, I really do love this cactus. It is super unique and fun to look at. I water it like twice a month because I really am scared of making it have root rot or anything. But yeah, I'm just sort of learning as I go with this cactus, and I will obviously keep you all updated if anything changes or happens with her. But that is our very first plant on our list, the ball cactus. Alright, so the next plant on our list is actually the next plant, and I guess last plant that I ordered online before I gave myself the little only buying in person rule for 2022, and that plant is the Hoya Serpent. So I absolutely love this Hoya. I will include a video of mine and the cutting that I got on Etsy, and it was a pretty expensive cutting, and obviously the stock photo of what I thought I was going to be getting is very different than what I got, but luckily this Hoya is super fast growing, and as you can see from mine, it is bouncing back and giving me a cute little tendril with a ton of new little baby leaves and new growth on it. So I am super happy that hopefully this will continue to vine out beautifully and very long, and then hopefully I can cut it back and propagate it and kind of pot the cuttings back into its original planter, this little tiny owl planter I have it in. It's so cute, and hopefully I can fill it up one day with all of its cuttings and it can be a much more fuller plant. And I'm always open. I'm probably going to one day add to it if I ever come across Hoya Serpents in a nursery or anything locally to me, or if I ever go back to Perfect Choice, I know they have some there. I may just go ahead and buy a few more plugs or even just a fuller plant to pot my current little cutting just into a bigger plant, because I am kind of impatient in that kind of sense. I'm not a huge cutting person. I don't get a ton of gratification when seeing things start from like a baby. I kind of want things big right away. So, oh well, that's just kind of how I am. But I do love this Hoya, and it's so cute little fuzzy paddle leaves that they have. And yeah, I really love this Hoya and how cute it is and how fuzzy again it is. I love kind of hairy plants now since my fiance Austin kind of got me into them. I just love how cute and round and tiny the leaves are, especially when they're forming on this Hoya. It is so, so cute. So I do think that is why I ended up purchasing it and having it shipped to me, and I'm so glad I did because it is quickly becoming one of my very favorite Hoya. So that was our second plant that we purchased in 2022, the Hoya Serpents. Alright, so the next couple of plants, I sort of had a shopping spree with my mom and my fiance Austin at EFG Orchids Nursery in DeLand, Florida. So if you have never heard of that nursery, it is super, super beautiful and you should definitely check it out. But I kind of went crazy that day. I think they were having like a festival sale, like a spring sale or something. It was like the beginning of February and everyone was there and going crazy for plants, and the sun was coming back out for the first time, and yeah, I kind of just went crazy that day with plants, and I ended up getting, let's see, 1, 2, 3, oh okay, well I only ended up getting 3 plants that trip, but they were relatively expensive, but pretty good prices for what I got. I ended up getting first an Anthurium Crystalline. I love this Anthurium. It is a little bit more of the common Anthurium that you can get, and I have had great success with the more hard, I guess, challenging Anthurium. So I thought, well, the easier Anthuriums should be a piece of cake then. And I'm happy to report that my crystallinum is doing awesome. I love her. She's put out 3 leaves since I purchased her, so she is just chugging along, and I'm very happy I got her for only $25. I know, they were just little seedling babies, but mine has really sized up a ton, so it really wasn't that big of a deal that it was such like a small plant, I guess, even though I just mentioned that I don't really love starting out with tiny plants, but I knew, or I guess I kind of assumed that the Anthurium would size up quickly since they always kind of have in my experience. So I'm super happy to report that that is the case with this crystallinum as well. I am anticipating a lot of growth on this Anthurium this year, and that is why I think I ended up getting it that day, because it is just so cute, and not to mention the price of it, it was only $25. So I know these Anthurium are a bit more common and not as difficult to care for, so that is why I wanted to add it to my collection, and I'm really glad I did, because as you can see, it is just such a fast grower and I'm really enjoying having it in my collection. So that was my first plant that I got that day. The second plant is actually another Anthurium, which is the Anthurium Clearnervium. And I think the biggest reason I got these plants that day was the prices. It was just having a big sale, and they'll have fun rare plants for people, I guess, like me. And so the biggest reason I think I got so many plants that day was the prices. So yeah, I got my crystallinum for $25 and I got my Clearnervium for $65. So that was a huge steal in my eyes, because look how fast it has already upsized its leaves. It's already given me 3 huge ones since I brought it home, and I'm super looking forward to it continuing to give me a ton of more foliage this growing season. And again, it's just such an easy grower so far. It acclimated perfectly to my cabinet and then now my plant room, since it was just getting a little too big for the cabinet. I didn't want the leaves to press up against anything and potentially get like fungal stuff or damaged, because they are pretty sensitive. So yeah, I'm really happy I bought both of those Anthurium that day, and I love them. So the third plant is the, again, Philodendron Silver Sword. I just made a video on that with my varicosum and putting it on a moss pole, so if you'd like to check that out, I'll leave it above. But I love that Silver Sword as well. It is really upsized a lot. I will include some video of it as well. I really love my Silver Sword. It is growing so quickly, and even since the moss pole video that I just posted a few days ago, the aerial roots are already digging their way into that new moss pole that I attached it to, so it is serving its purpose perfectly and looking super good while doing it. So I'm really happy that that moss pole is doing its job and the plant seems to be very happy, and again, I'm really hoping it continues to grow a lot of beautiful foliage this growing season. So that's the third plant I got during that huge sale. And then finally I did end up getting a Philodendron Mickins. So I think I have like 3 or 4 Mickins now, and this was the second or third one. Yeah. And I don't regret it. It's the one that's on my entertainment stand, and it was so full and luscious and beautiful, and I couldn't pass it up, and it is just such a beauty to look at when we watch movies and stuff like that, or play video games and stuff like that. So I really enjoy this Mickins. It's one of my favorite. I just love how green the foliage was on this one because they were a little bit higher up in the greenhouse and getting a little bit more sun, so they were a little bit more sun stressed, I guess, and they were just super beautiful, and I needed one. So even though I already had one, I needed to get another. So funny enough, I actually got another Mickins about 2 weeks before this that was not as beautiful as the one I got at EFG. Let's just say that. So let's do a comparison. I'll go ahead and show you the other one that I got 2 weeks prior to getting this one, and you can just tell, I mean, I know I purchased them during the winter, but you can just tell that obviously these plants came from 2 very different suppliers, and I'll just leave it at that. But luckily the other one is rehabbing really well. I potted some other cuttings that I had rooting out into the basket, so it looks a little bit better than when I initially purchased it. But yeah, we're getting there. It's not every plant you're gonna purchase is gonna be perfect. So those were the 2 other, I got 2 Mickins kind of relatively at the same time. So I love them. I love Philodendron Mickins, and I don't regret buying them whatsoever, even if one of them wasn't so perfect or completely in great health. At least it didn't have any pests, and that's all I really care about. And it's always good to kind of challenge yourself, I think, with rehab plants every once in a while, and challenge yourself to try and save stuff like that. So I always up for a challenge, I guess. So I think that is why I ended up getting both the sad looking Mickins and my beautiful, healthy, thriving Mickins. So those were the kind of speed round of all those plants that I got that one day in February, I think. So let's move on to the next plant. Okay, so the next plant on our list is another common plant, and again, this was kind of before I implemented my little rule of wanting to, one, only buy plants in person and not online, to the best of my ability, of course, and then also only trying to buy plants from my wish list specifically. So not really delving into buying just a random plant while walking through Home Depot or Lowe's or anything. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to save little purchases like that up for a big rare plant purchase instead. So yeah, the next plant I actually ended up getting was a more common plant at Home Depot, and it's kind of going mainstream and a little popular, so it caught my eye and I was kind of like, oh cool, it's kind of a rare plant in a common store setting. So I did cave and I ended up purchasing the Global Green Pothos, and I love how cool this foliage looks. I'll include how mine looks, and they do have a cool like two-toned variegation situation going on, and I love pothos. I think they're easy plants to take care of, and they're not fussy, and I like their growth pattern and stuff like that. So I knew I could potentially take care of it well. And just look at that foliage. It's so pretty, and I can't wait for it to maybe start trailing for me one day, and I will obviously keep you updated on that. And as you can see, I kind of have it in the place where I had my big green jade pothos. If you've seen my plant room and houseplant tour video, you'll kind of notice that I've moved some stuff around. So I will definitely be doing an updated house tour video probably later in summer after I've hopefully added some more plants to my collection and done some more reorganizing, but that will be coming in hopefully the next couple months. And I did want to obviously space out those videos because I just did one recently, but I am super glad I ended up getting this global green pothos. Yeah, I just love the way it looks in its cute little macrame hanger, and it doesn't really need a ton of humidity. So after letting it acclimate in the plant room for a few weeks, I went ahead and just moved it on over here to the living room, and I think it's doing okay, and I'm hoping it will trail for me soon, and I will definitely keep you updated on its progress. So that is the global green pothos, and I'm super glad I got it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next plant. Okay, so the next two plants I guess I will go ahead and just knock off the list is the Monkeytail Cactus and another random succulent that I got on my trip to Arizona with Austin. And I really love these plants because they are just sentimental to me, because they are the first plants I ever flew on a plane with, and that was such a fun, or I guess funny experience. And I think I learned a lot with like learning how to package the little plants up so that they wouldn't rattle around, and going through TSA with them and all that jazz. So I think it was just a super fun learning experience, and not to mention just coming home with such beautiful plants. I absolutely love these two plants, and I think that they made my experience to Arizona even that much more fulfilling, because I kind of brought home a little authentic cactus straight from like the motherland of Arizona. And I think that's why I ended up getting both the cactus and this cute little succulent. I don't even know what it's called, but I love variegated stuff, so I ended up grabbing it as well. And even though now it's more of a yellow variegation, when I bought it, it was more of a white variegation. So oh well, it doesn't bother me. It definitely is showing signs that it wants more light though, so I don't really know how to do that for it, because I do have it in a western facing window, and then it also has a grow light on it whenever the sun isn't like over the house into like the afternoon sun. So I don't know what it wants from me, but I'm getting another grow light here soon, so maybe I'll put it over the cactus area, and that will help anyone who's needing more sunlight, I guess. So I'm super happy I brought home those two beautiful cactus and succulents. So that is our, I don't even know what number we're on, but geez, I've gotten a lot of plants, but those are the two plants I got from Arizona. So let's go ahead and move on to the next couple plants. So we only have a few more plants left on our list. So last March, geez, it's already almost May. So this March, a few weeks ago, I went to Perfect Choice Nursery, and I did end up buying, well, I didn't buy it. Luckily, my beautiful mother gifted me a Philodendron Florida Beauty from Perfect Choice Nursery, and it is seriously becoming, I think it's like number 3 on my favorite of all time of plants, and that is because it acclimated so well. I did the moss pole video on her as well, and her aerial roots are digging in beautifully as well. She was putting out a new leaf in that video that I was trying to protect, and that leaf is unfurling beautifully. I'm so happy it didn't get stuck or anything weird happened to it. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, that continues to be the case. But as you can see, it is just such a beautiful, beautiful plant. The variegation is so amazing. I can't imagine I can't believe I didn't have this in my collection before, and I can't imagine my collection would look like without it now. I love it that much, and it also reminds me of my fiance Austin, because he also really loves this plant, and I know he was just freaking out just as much as I was whenever we saw the new leaf kind of starting to emerge and unfurl. So we are just so in awe at this plant, and I cannot wait till it continues to grow up its cute little moss pole that we made for it. And I will obviously be keeping you guys updated on its growth this next growing season, but I'm happy to report that it has looking like it is really happy and has acclimated very, very well to my living conditions in the plant room, and it seems to be really loving its moss pole as well. So I'm just so happy that this very expensive rare plant is doing well. And yeah, that is the Philodendron Florida Beauty, and let's go ahead and move on to the last couple of plants. Okay, so the next plant on our list that I purchased in 2022 is the Monstera Adensoni, or Adensoni, however you want to say it. I actually have the wide form, and I got this plant recently at a plant kind of festival in Gainesville, Florida, with my mom and my aunt and my cousin. We went down there to, I don't remember what the festival is called, but it is pretty well known. Been there, we used to go there whenever I was like 10 years old, and we would go every single year, and it was just a fun place where a lot of plant vendors, mostly like flowers and annual people, sell their plants. But now I guess since the house plant craze has happened, there was definitely a lot more people there selling houseplants, and I didn't really go into that weekend wanting to buy any plants, because I think at that time I had just gotten home from Arizona, and I just was kind of saving money because I just spent a ton on vacation, and I kind of was getting more in that mindset of I only want to purchase plants that are on my wish list, and I'm very almost positive that not a ton of rare plants were going to be there. So I didn't really go into that weekend thinking I wanted to have a plant purchase, but that's not what ended up happening. I did get one plant during that weekend because my dad gifted me $50 to spend on whatever I saw, I guess, which is very kind of him. I love you, Dad. I know he watches my videos all the time, so love you. And I ended up seeing this wide form Monstera Adensoni, and I never really was attracted to them before. I recently only started considering them because my fiance Austin, again, mentioned just in passing like how cool they kind of look, and like I think he was actually referring to the Esqueleto Monstera, and those are beautiful too, but I obviously wasn't going to come across that, so I showed him the Adensoni, and he likes the wide form as well. So when I saw it and I saw that it said wide form, and it clearly was a little bit different than those more narrowy leafed Adensoni that you can get, I really liked it. I saw it in person. I didn't really break my little other rule that I had, which was wanting to purchase them in person. So I went ahead and got it. It caught my eye, and I really wanted to get it, even though it was not on my wish list. I didn't really care. I really liked it, and I'm really glad I ended up getting it because it is such a cool plant, and other than losing that one little leaf, it has given me no other issues and has kind of acclimated relatively well. Just likes higher humidity, and since I've given it that, it has given me no issues since. So that is the plant that I got at that festival, the Monstera Adensoni wide form. So I have two last plants left, so let's go ahead and see those. Alright, so the last two plants that I got are from a local nursery near me in St. Augustine called Leonardi's, and they're a family owned and run kind of nursery, and they two are kind of stepping into having more fun plants, more house plants, and catering to us crazy plant ladies. And I ended up getting a beautifully mature and long ass Hoya Compacta. And I'm so impressed with this plant. I am just in awe of how beautiful it is, and if you can see on the footage, I will include all of its beautiful peduncles that it has. I could count, but I'm lazy. But just look at all of its peduncles all the way down that vine. It is just such a beautiful, beautiful Hoya, and I am so lucky that my mom, again, was so kind enough to purchase this beautiful Hoya. I'm really in love with that Hoya that I showed you all, as well as I got a fuzzy looking cactus. I'll have to put up the name on screen, but this cactus really caught my eye in Arizona actually, and I wanted to purchase it at the same nursery that I got the Monkeytail Cactus and the random little variegated other succulent that I purchased in Arizona as well, but I didn't have enough room in the container to take on the plane back home with me, so I didn't end up purchasing it, and I was kind of sad about it. But I was so amazed to see that Leonardi's had the same succulent that I had seen in Arizona. So I asked my mom, hey, can I have that one too? And it was only like $3 or $4, so she was like, sure, throw it in. Let's go ahead and get you both. So my mom is so awesome, I know. She is very caring and generous, and she loves plants as well, so she doesn't mind making me happy with plants. So I love you, Mom, if you are watching this video too, and I appreciate you. So yeah, I love my new plants from Leonardi's. They are super beautiful, and I can't wait to hopefully show you all the Hoya Compacta peduncles blooming one day here soon. I don't know if they'll do anything, but I'll keep up on the watering and keep you all updated on if any of those peduncles change. But with that, that does bring us to the end of today's video. So I do appreciate you if you stuck all the way to the end, and let's go ahead and roll the outro. Alright you guys, so that does bring us to the end of today's video. I do hope you enjoyed getting to see what plants I have purchased so far in 2022. And if you did enjoy and stayed all the way to the end, I do appreciate you, and please ask that you leave a like, a comment down below, maybe sharing what plants you have collected so far in 2022, and maybe even subscribe so that you are notified every time I upload a new video, and to help me keep on planting. So with that, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!